Okay.
Oh, so you're looking to carry momentum into this.
So much momentum. I need. I'm a cold train.
You're a cold train?
I'm a cold train.
You're like the Snowpiercer?
Oh, yeah. But it's
have you watched Snowpiercer?
I have. Not in recent months, but I have.
It's...
Have you seen it? Are you talking about the show or the movie? Or the book?
I knew it was a book, but there's a show.
There's a show. But it got canceled, so I like to say glorified limited series. Because it got canceled.
Glorified limited series.
Yeah, glorified limited series.
I do like Snowpiercer for a few reasons.
It's just so many reasons.
Any media that makes me try to put myself into that situation and wonder what I'd do.
Yeah. Oh, I would eat the baby.
Would you?
Hands down.
Would you eat the baby?
I'm hungry. I'm food motivated. I would eat grandma. I'm not a... unfortunately, this is like a joke because I'm in the forest and we do get snowed in a lot, and we have been in situations where we have we lost tires. We lost tires. Our engine broke. Like things fall off. No, yeah. So like it's a joke within my field that I've made, and like everyone knows it. It's a whole joke. But I said if we get stuck here, I'm not above cannibalism. So it's a whole joke. It's fine. Hello everyone. My name's Corinne.
My name's Cohen, and I'm afraid of Corinne.
Mm-hmm. And we are Blood and Banter. Welcome. So, cue the intro. So, we're back. Today we're doing our 5-episode mark, and I like to call it a pipeline. And what I like to say about a pipeline is we're doing theories or momentous situations where we go from point A to point B and then life transitions. So right now, because I have documented this quite often at meets and general gym time, and it's going to be martial arts to weight training. And for our specific, well, I know for, because I'm surrounded by old judo, jiu-jitsu, and karate people, and I meet them at the gym. So a lot of the people that are novice powerlifters this season are actually old karate competitors that I have trained with. So we're going. This is what we're doing. Every 5-episode mark, we'll have some pipelines. It's going to be great. If it doesn't go well, we'll change it. And
it's going to go well. We're not going to practice failing. We're going to win.
Listen, hope for the best, plan for the worst. And that's where we're going to go.
Hopefully it'll go well.
It's going to be great. It's going to be good. It's going to be fine. Anyway, so that's what we're going to do. I'm sure many of you people have or know people who have trained in martial arts and probably have aged out or whatever reason, and they don't do that anymore. So we're going to talk about the many scenarios and many reasons that there might be a shift. Unfortunately, my knife has not shifted. We just added 2. So I do 2 martial arts right now. I do Chidori Karate, and I do Ruku Kobudo Kobujutsu.
Try saying that 5 times
it's
fast.
Really, I have to... Ruku Kobudo Kobujutsu. Ruku Kobudo Kobujutsu. Ruku Kobudo Kobujutsu and Ruku Kobudo Kobujutsu.
5.
It is
5. You gotta do it again.
Oh, sorry. Ruku Kobudo Kobujutsu.
Oh, we gotta start again. You failed.
Oh crap! No, we're not doing it. It's hard to say. I can spell it finally, but anyway. So in short term, I do karate and I do Kobudo Kobujutsu. There you go. And I also do powerlifting. Eventually, when life settles down and I really need a kick in the arse, I will be doing strongman. Maybe. I don't know. I'm feeling it. A lot of people are doing strongman.
What do you mean slow down and get a kick in the arse?
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be...
You're just saying things?
No. When my life settles down, because right now everyone is following my lead and we're doing a lot of weddings, a lot of kids are involved. A lot of people are moving out of the university. Some people are counting kids, yeah. Can't hate it. So a lot of people are also moving from their university lifestyle back to their house, and I'm also moving people from their parents' house into their new homes. So I unfortunately settled down a few seasons before everyone else in my life, so I'm now watching everyone else going through the situations and learning from my mistakes.
It's like one of those weird moments in your 20s where some of your friends are hooked on crack. Other friends are having kids, and other friends are still in their mom's basement playing video games and masturbating all day. Or is that just me?
You masturbate in your living room like a good homeowner. There you go.
And my parents' basement.
Thankfully not my basement either. So right now
we did live together.
Yes. As siblings. Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
We are a brother-sister duo. We are full-blooded siblings. Quote, name of this. So anyway. So I also have, we're seeing a lot of transitions, a lot of people, and also because Canada Nationals karate has happened in the past couple weeks. I don't know when it's going to go on. This happened in April for a landmark there. And I've noticed that a lot of newcomers have come in, but a lot of old athletes are now coaches or refs or on the sidelines, support staff, volunteers, which is fantastic. We need more volunteers. Volunteers are important. They make the world run. So, I just thought
somebody had their ketamine today. She is on the ball.
I had a power nap, so we're good.
This is you on a nap?
This is not me.
If I take 5.5 minutes straight, you have been on a continuous stream. What in tarnation? Can I have whatever?
Oh, just a dead nap. Dead sleep. This is a nap. This is a straight nap. I had a coffee at 8 a.m. like normal, but I had a power nap around like 3, and I woke up and I'm like, let's go. We gotta get all these episodes out. I gotta do meal prep. Saw my husband.
What are you making?
Oh, I'm doing egg pucks. I'm doing my egg pucks.
Are they pucks because they're overcooked?
No, they're pucks because they're in muffin trays.
Ah, darn.
So they're pucks. I got my yogurt prep, and then I'm probably going to do an adult lunchable. I think I'm going to do that.
An adult charcuterie?
We're doing a charcuterie. We're going to have...
adult lunchable.
Because at Costco, just so everyone knows, we're Costco girlies. Love from Costco girlies. Costco has pre-made chicken slices, and from, I think, a sixth of the package is 90 calories, and it has 22 to 25% protein. So there you go, if anyone wants to know. It's I think it's natural growth or something like that. Anyway, it comes in a pack of 6, so this actually gives me like 2 weeks of meal prep. It's fantastic. So I do the chicken strips, and then I do tomatoes or carrots or cucumbers or whatever I have in my fridge, and then I throw in like a little Big Bell or slices of cheese, and then if you really want to, if we're really having a bad week, we throw in like a little treat.
Well, that sounds kind of nice.
It's really nice. I don't have crackers. I'm not a cracker girly. I have crackers if people give them. I don't seek out crackers. They're hard. It just ruins the vibe because then you get caught in mouth from that. I'm not a cracker girl.
Do you not salivate at the thought of food?
No, I love bread.
I salivate at the thought of my fiance, so.
Oh, there you go. She's
so if you're
bread and butter. She's your bread and butter. Oh, you know what? Sorry, I am power nap girls. We gotta get our power nap.
I'm gonna say something at some point.
Sorry. One thing, bread and honey. Continue, my boy.
Bread and honey.
Bread and honey.
For what?
Just I've been on a toast and honey streak.
For
the last couple days,
hippie. Just to recap, the point of this episode is to discuss what is essentially a point A to point B kind of conversation. We all love linear storytelling, so we're going to tell a little bit, mostly linear storytelling in the concept of going from one sport to another. And in this specific topic, we're discussing something that we have both done. Mm-hmm. We've competed in martial arts, and now we lift heavy things.
Exactly.
We want to tell you how we got there.
Exactly.
So.
And it's all biased. We're not professionals in any sense. We're just athletes that take notes of things.
I don't take notes because I can't read. That's why I'm talking. I don't write books very well.
I'm observant.
I like pictures. So, I want to keep your momentum here.
I like
ready?
We're good.
Why did you start doing karate to begin with?
You.
Me.
Yes. Story time of sibling lives.
Sorry.
So he joined karate at a ripe age of 6 or 7 at our local dojo, and then I unfortunately suffer from glorifying older sibling syndrome.
Oh boy.
Which basically I'm a younger sibling who gave a lot of power and identity towards an older sibling. So he was doing a sport and I had to do it, so I'd be near him. Basically, I'm his biggest fan. If he doesn't have any fans, I'm dead. So my parents are just like, this little rascal keeps going onto the floor and distracting a lot of the senseis. In she goes. So and then our parents followed suit. So we are actually a family of black belts. One of many that I have met, which is very fun. We're generationals. So right now our father, siblings.
Just her dad.
Just my
Not
dad.
My dad.
It's a half and half. We share custody. So our dad is an active sensei, and then I am also an active sensei. Our mother is retired, and then you show up randomly. So
I am not active.
He is not active. So our mom and him are not active. Myself and our dad, we are active. So we've noticed.
So this is the mostly linear storytelling. Though I joined.
SideQuest.
We gave you a little synopsis to that.
Hey.
Jump in whenever you're ready. Because the reason I joined karate is because it was an interesting combination of wanting to matter and also wanting to feel more confident.
That's my
so,
7.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I got it.
Chubby little kid who gets made, my name's Cowan, C-O-W-A-N, I get called Cowan all the time.
What?
So it's just constantly having to justify your existence, I guess is the word.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, especially because I almost died of like an autoimmune disease as a kid too. So when I went, I was saying, I think it was roughly grade 1 or 2.
You joined karate probably a year after you got out of the hospital.
I did. I basically was on death's door for like 3 weeks, and then
check your kids.
Came back to school at like grade 1 or 2. Having literally been told I was going to die for in a whole month. Better get your shit in order. At the time, I didn't quite get it immediately.
Your farewell party seemed a bit null.
What?
Your farewell party seemed a bit null now. Because you showed up.
Oh, yeah. Bye. But it's kind of funny because in the hospital, they were giving me some really cool cutting-edge video games.
Oh,
so at the time, Nintendo 64 and GameCube were kind of the shit. So I was playing all these brand new games on this computer they'd roll, or this TV they'd roll in for me sometimes. It was because they only do that for dying kids.
Oh, but
I thought it was just... Yeah.
The kid board was awesome.
Yeah, I was given the Make-A-Wish Foundation, basically.
Yeah, in the climbing wall?
Yep.
Oh, that was nasty.
I recall. Yeah. And then, they gave me a few shots, and it's in remission, I guess, so I'm not dead yet.
It's always in remission.
It's my mission, to remain in remission. The comeback to class was interesting because I never really was able to fit in one, because it was, a bit alienated from the class.
Yeah.
Because there was several weeks where I wasn't in it. And then I was also isolated because of this very intense period. So people were like, what happened? What's going on? And I, 6 or 7, I don't know how to articulate my disease.
No.
I was like, my tummy hurt.
I was tired for 3 weeks.
I went to the hospital and I came back I think a month later. So that kind of stuck with me through a lot of elementary school. And then it also led into a lot of confidence issues.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, why is everybody pointing fingers? Why doesn't anybody want to hang out with me very much? That kind of thing. So my dad did karate in university and high school and all that. He's like, all right, let's go check this out. And we did it. We just stuck with it. Mm-hmm. Did okay. Never really felt super confident in that either. Not a whole lot of words of affirmation in a martial art. Not a whole lot of... They make it look linear when you progress through the belts and stuff, but it doesn't feel linear. So that at least in that club, to be honest, and then you go through that for like 8 or 10 years, 10 to 15 years. I think
if you do it right and you're actually training and you're not being glorifiedly pushed up.
Yeah, there's a lot of grinding and there's a lot of character building moments in that experience, which I actually really valued. But as I got into adulthood, on my exit, I'm just going to continue to my exit and then I'll get you to jump in there.
Take your time.
So I do that all through high school. A lot of my identities wrapped up into that. Mm-hmm. Who is Cohen? Well, I do karate. I compete all over the place. I went to BC a few times, competed, which is wild. And actually an interesting traumatic event happened when I was into my teens competing. I went up against this guy from Quebec.
Yes, I remember this.
And I'm competing in a martial art. Martial arts means hitting people, right? So I went up to my first national competition in karate. The guy kicked me in the head. But I got out of the way and then caught it on the other side. So it looked kind of like, just catch. I sweeped him off his feet and I punched him in the face so hard that I destroyed his face. Then they disqualified me for winning the fight.
Yeah. It was
too much force.
It was such a good land.
It was one hit.
Yeah.
I threw this blonde-haired fucker so fast.
And he was out. He couldn't even fight the following day. Like you destroyed him. Which
one hit.
It's unfortunate.
It was the only hit. Actually, it was like it was roughly a minute into the round. There was a couple exchanges, and then he threw the kick, and I just... So that was a huge hit because there was a juxtaposition there. I'm in a martial art, but you can't hit.
And note, in our style, we do WKF ruling. So he was actually in his weight division. So he was in his weight division, his proper age and weight division, but he still was a hell of a lot stronger than the guy that he was fighting, and he used excessive force, which is a DQ, technically, because that is part of the ruling.
I hit him really hard.
Because to him, not that hard. To the guy who probably also cut or was on a water cut, he probably did not have a lot of bounce.
He was a pretty scrawny guy.
He probably didn't have a lot of bounce.
I think he was trying to eating into it.
Yeah, he probably went up because there was probably, 3 guys in your division?
No, there's a lot.
Okay, sorry.
I think he was in the 82 kg class.
Oh yeah, if you don't, I don't care what your coaches say, if you are sitting mid or low to your own weight class, do not eat up to your next class. You're not gonna recover.
No coach would say that anyway, but it's still a bad idea.
A lot of coaches do, especially wrestling.
No, they want you to go down a weight class.
Some want to bulk because there's not a lot of people in your division. They want to go up. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway,
rare.
That happened roughly in university when that whole thing happened. So there's a lot of concussions from competing. There's a lot of identity shifting. And then I got to the point where I got so many concussions, the doctor's like, listen, if you keep getting kicked in the head, you're not going to be able to read. Or CTE, because CTE started to become a really hot topic from football and a lot of contact sports. So that was a big consideration at the time as well. So that led me down the direction of more strength-focused things, like explosive training from shot put and hammer toss and all that kind of stuff. So I originally exited because of a fear for my own health, but didn't do a whole hell of a lot of other activities. I wasn't big into team sports. I'm not really entirely sure why. My hypothesis is that I didn't trust people because there's a lot of alienation through my entire school life.
You were pretty rocked with rugby as well.
I was rocked with rugby too, and that probably had a hand in it too because I was in a team, and my own team member jumped over the ruck and headbutted me. Yeah. So there's a lot of trust issues with other people when it comes to being in school and people talking a lot of shit and just not being very included in things. So
I like to say the secondary friend is what I'm going through right now. The secondary. Not the primary, not the tertiary. You're still getting in group chats, but the secondary friend.
That's pretty much what that is. Mm-hmm. So through a combination of injury and not a lot of trust through people, and then I lost the thing that I identified with, university first year was an interesting time. I'm not a big partier because that was something I was conditioned to not want to do through competing because you can't get drunk all the time. Mm-hmm. So I was relegated to working and studying, and that's it. So that was interesting. So we're going to pause on that. We're going to start talking about my transition into strength-oriented sports right after you give us an update.
Okay, so as I previously discussed, I started karate because I could not leave my big old bro alone. And then I rose through the ranks pretty steadily because I started at an age where I wasn't supposed to be. The dojo that we were part of.
She's too young to train.
Yeah, so I started...
Old to train.
No, I started 2 years before I was technically allowed to be there. So I started at age 3, and they actually started to take on kids at age 5. So I had to wait.
You started at age
3. Yeah. I was 3. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was 3, yeah. Unfortunate. So anyway, I started at age 3, and then I had to wait until I was 5 to actually be trained. Obviously, many coaches of any sport have dealt with young kids. They're not cognitive. They aren't people, really, until probably...
They are not human.
I'm probably like 5 or 6, and then they blink at you, and they actually like register what you're saying. So I don't think that we've all done the kid classes. Come on!
I do not support this message. They have sentience before 6.
They do, but when you're training them at a thing that you need to know words and points and gestures, they're not fast enough to know, and they don't remember very well. So when you teach them, and you're trying for an hour to teach them stuff, you see them a day or 2 later, not a clue what they taught you. Like, so it's kind of when you get older and older and your memory is better, sure, but when you're that age, they're cute. You give them things to learn, muscle memory will get them very far, but their brain...
As in to say that you weren't learning quickly?
This is like a blanket statement. Anyone who's dealt with young kids, So it's kind of when I was young, they didn't really look at me until I was about 5 or 6, and then I started grading. But because I'm also still super young, they weren't giving me full, and this is across the board for many karate styles. When they're young, they give you stripes instead of full belts because you learn most of it, but not quite there. So because I was so young, I was younger than everyone involved, I started just getting stripe after stripe after stripe, and then there's a
Pause.
boom.
For people that don't know what that means, stripe is the intermediate between two different belts. So
it's like a belt 0.5 or belt 0.6.
Not good enough to fully transition to the next grade.
Exactly.
Possibly a money grab because they want you to be in the sport longer and pay longer.
It's not. It's just mainly it's a safety thing. It's a safety thing. So I've dealt with kids who they're great. They're just super young and they're not old enough. So if you have a 6-year-old who's a yellow belt, and you give them an orange belt, that 6-year-old is not going to know the advanced katas you're supposed to be teaching them. So are you supposed to just like give them half a point? No, you're going to give them a stripe so they can still learn the orange belt stuff, but still be able to slowly progress with the yellow belt stuff.
So with the stripes comes with extra lessons?
Extra knowledge, and then you still rely on the other belt, but then you give them extra stuff to look at so they're not bored or they're not struggling or feeling less than. Because they're good.
A little bit of recognition, but
exactly.
not
They're not quite there. Because I'm not going to expect a 7-year-old green belt to be in the same rank as an adult green belt. I'm not going to do that to them. That's a horrible idea. So instead of doing a full belt, we give them stripes. So they're still progressing. They're getting that acknowledgement, getting that warm and fuzzy because we're going somewhere. There's progression. They're going up, but not a full responsibility of the net following belt.
So you're climbing.
You're climbing. Anyway.
So you're climbing.
So I'm climbing, I'm getting the stripes, blah, 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 blah. But then as soon as I hit that nice age, they kind of skipped me because I had all of the stripes, but then they didn't they skipped me. They skipped me 2 belt rounds. They just forgot to test me.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, so when we did in-class gradings instead of weekend gradings. So they would always pull you out of class to grade you, but they kept forgetting I was there, so they would skip me belt rank. And then finally I said, hey, what's going on here? I was like 12 at that time. I said, I want to grade. Can you grade me? I've been an orange belt for 2-3 years. Let's go. And they're like, oh my God, I did it. Surprise, surprise, I graded.
The thing I'm paying for, you're not doing.
Yeah, so like, surprise, surprise, I graded because I knew it, whatever. And then so at that time, blah, 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 I graded, progressively, whatever. And then I think it was the summer of 8th grade. I got my blue belt. And then a mom of, one of the family, yes, we're not dropping names because that's rude. But anyway, we're not dropping names. Shut the fuck up. So there's a family who had many kids. And no, shut the fuck up. There's a mother who had many kids in her dojo. And I don't know if she didn't like me personally or she just didn't like a lot of kids. But she went up to her head sensei and said that I didn't, I didn't deserve my belt grading because I was lesser than her kids. So she threw a fit. And it wasn't great. It was in front of my dad, but she didn't actually know it was my dad. So she went up to the head sensei and my dad, who unfortunately is one of the higher ranking senseis, and said, she doesn't deserve it. She's not as fast, and she's fat, and she's slower than my kids. Blah blah blah. She shouldn't be here.
It's a real Judge Dredd moment.
It was awful.
I am the law.
Like, yeah. So she was like going off, And then she was talking to my dad, and I don't think she clued in the fact it was my dad. And then she just went off. And then
being a cunt.
So I found that out, and I was already having issues in school and outside of school because of bullying. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be in a sport that I'm fighting with a full family about my worth. So I hopped out. And then I came back after high school because they dropped out. They said, oh, we got our belt, we're leaving. So like, cool, awesome, love that. Love that for them. They got their belt. They got success. Perfect, bye. So they stopped going. I joined Kobujitsu, which is at the same dojo, and then I slowly went back to karate, and now we're here. I'm in both, and I'm a sensei in both, so that's fantastic. I'm a ranking Dan in both styles, so that is my story. And then during I guess university, college age, and during COVID, we were doing karate during that, but I felt I'm slow, I'm big, I'm not aerodynamic. I needed something validating, so I did the gym.
You're not giant.
I'm dense. I'm heavy. I'm big. Like I'm not big. I'm big. So I'm wide. I'm like, ugh. Anyway.
You guys are looking at the same video I'm looking at, right? You stand up for us.
No, we're not standing up. We're good. Anyway, I guess that. Pin that, everyone.
What are we pinning?
Body dysmorphia. Ooh.
That's an episode.
Ooh, that's an episode in itself. Okay, sorry.
I'll take the pin and
throw it out. Yeah, pin it into the thing right there. Okay, cool. So.
See us next week.
We're going to talk about body dysmorphia and body bullying. Oh, love that.
Body bullying.
Love. Obsessed. Okay.
It's a part.
Continue. So I started weightlifting because I saw a lot of people who are kind of my size that are weightlifting and being successful, and like, oh, that's very athletic, but they have a goal. So I started weightlifting, blah, blah, blah. I got pretty good numbers. My big bro said you should do powerlifting because at that time he was a notable member of the powerlifting community in our area. Went into powerlifting, and here I am.
You really sped through that last part.
I don't have a lot in my powerlifting career because I've only been here for a year.
Well, I'll fill in some gaps as I go. You're going to have some thoughts here. Because picking up from where I left off into university, I was competing through the university in the track and field, shot and hammer, which was a really cool experience because it introduced me to strength training and explosive training in general. Just the concept of it, like adding more weight, moving it faster, doing it for longer, the basics of strength training, and how that would apply to something like throwing, something like a sprinter. So it was completely different than the degree I was doing in sociology because it was just a weird moment in my degree where it was just like, cool, the human thinking is cool, but my God, it feels even cooler to pick up weight. Because if I'm here talking about how people think, it's a really cool medium to look at people who lift.
That's cool.
So it kind of led me in that direction. Like, what the people that subject themselves willingly to pain and torture, like lifting, Jesus, that's an interesting mindset. And that kind of led me to change degrees and go to the UMB that I ended up doing. Went through, did the whole kin degree, did exercise physiology and certified personal training. So there's a lot of letters, a lot of names involved with the next 3 or 4 years of that career, which then led to COVID. COVID was interesting.
COVID was the things.
There was a choice to be made. Nobody was hiring kin students, and nobody was doing any of that in my local community, and I didn't quite have the astonishing grades that I needed for physio, which was the overall goal. I had a 3.6,
go off. Okay.
Which was an okay rank, but people are in the 3.8s and 4.0s for you to be registered for physio for that next semester.
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise, there was waiting lists, which I personally, and I'm not saying this is a decision that you have to make, but I personally disagree with a waiting list.
Oh, why?
Well, I won't wait for my life to continue.
That is true.
Right?
Yeah, that's fair.
If there's, and at that moment, there was a whole lot of philosophy going on. So mortality was something that became very apparent because death of the family, death of people. So it's like, okay, listen, any time could be the last moment. So why the fuck am I going to sit around waiting for all of those people in Toronto or Ontario to say that I am now worthy to do something for them?
Hot take.
Oh no, it's the steamiest of takes. So it's like, who are they to decide what I am worth? I started to make it myself.
I like it.
I just hated the idea for a lot of those reasons. So that I ended up having to make money because, I didn't want to take CERB and I didn't want to owe it back to the government at that point. I wanted to contribute and I wanted to keep my momentum. So I ended up working as a youth care worker for a residential home, which was wild.
I remember the stories.
Yeah.
That was a wild,
First week I was punched in the face and stabbed with a fork. It was great. Awesome time. So the reason I'm telling all of these is to give a little bit of context to why I moved towards strength training, right?
Yeah.
Competed in sports, COVID happened, everything shut down, needed to make money, had an overwhelming sense of independence because I'm like, fuck you guys, you're not going to take another year out of my life waiting for you to recognize what I'm worth. Fuck you. So I kept going. I just kept finding the next thing to do.
So you think that COVID and everything that's going on in your personal life kind of stopped your training?
It did because there's no way to do this.
Yeah.
So then I said, fuck this. I'm working for a youth community, which is great, but it's not moving me in the direction that I'm trying to go in. It's paying the bills. Next. So the gym started opening up under some restrictions, so it was 3 places I was hired. I was hired at one gym that closed a week later.
Yes.
Because they weren't carrying enough revenue.
Did you ever get a shift, or did you just
Never. I woke up at 6 a.m. for my first shift, and he called me and told me that day they went under.
Oh my God.
So he called me, man, I'm super sorry. Don't come in today. We're having some problems. I'm like, okay, well, get back to me. And I woke up later, and then I saw a notification on my email saying that they ended up closing.
Did you ever talk to that gym owner again?
I ended up running into him in the park. We locked eyes, and he just wouldn't talk to me.
That is so funny.
It was such a shame. But then I got hired at another gym. Sure enough, before my first shift again. 2021 was a wild year. So
it was a fever dream. I swear, when you look back at my Facebook and stuff, it sheds memory of this.
Yeah.
Like, what was I doing?
What the fuck?
And Instagram does it too. I'm like, what?
Yeah. So again.
Yeah.
The club closed before my first shift.
Yeah.
So again, I might be sociopathic or something, but I never questioned whether it was me. I never questioned the direction I wanted to go. I ended up getting hired at Good Life in Fredericton, which is sweet. That kicked off one of the best 4 to 5 years of my entire life for a couple reasons.
Friends.
1, friends, indeed. 2, I really learned how to grind well, gain clients, work with people, get them where they need to go, and maintain a balance between ethics and earning a decent living. So that led me to the next thing, which is if I'm going to help people realize the best versions of themselves, powerlifting was one thing that a lot of people were asking me to help them with, which, again, I did all the courses. I know how to train for strength and for basically anything because there's a very broad cert that I did.
Yeah.
So I said, I got a lot of people that want to do this. I might as well do a meet. Because what could I say about myself in the sense of integrity if I'm training people for something that I have never experienced?
I like that.
It was born out of a yearning to remain integral.
That's fair.
So I signed up for a meet. I think I didn't even do a novice.
No, you just went in.
I did. I knew that
you did well too.
I came 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
It was a decent day. It was fucking hot. It was in a old CrossFit gym, and there was 70 people in, I think, a building the size.
So that in the industrial park?
It was in the industrial park.
Yeah.
We can roughly say it's about a If you go to a gas station.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to a gas station, like either a Shell or anything like that, it was a little bit bigger than a Shell. And there was 70 people competing. And people observing.
Oh, by the way, if you're ever wanting to test out the powerlifting world and you don't know what it is, New Brunswick Powerlifting always live streams on their YouTube channel, so you should definitely check that out. Mm-hmm. That's not a paid promo. I just really support the powerlifting community.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we'll get to that in a moment, because there's lots to be talked about
there.
So I did the meets, and something really stood out to me. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have been there before, and a lot of people have not been there before. And going from a karate and a martial arts, like wrestling and all that kind of atmosphere, which is the person you're facing directly or the team you're facing directly wanted you dead and wanted you to make the mistakes so that they can stand higher.
Yes.
Okay. That's where I was coming from.
Yeah.
So there's some anxiety around that. I developed a really good sense of confidence around competing, so I didn't really care about that. But something really stood out when I competed in that. Every time I walked out, the people in my weight class that I was competing against cheered their fucking minds up.
So glad
they just went crazy. So I came out and everybody was like, wow, awesome. I was like, I know you're in my weight class. We're technically competing against each other.
I love that you're talking about this right now.
I know. I'm
itching. I'm like,
I want you shook up because I want to send you off to it. Yeah. So first, second, third attempts. First, second, third attempt for each of these movements, and then the last thing, the deadlifts. The amount of volume from the people that were in that building, whether they were experienced or not experienced, on the same weight class or not in the same weight class, male, female, didn't fucking matter. Every single human in that building wanted nothing more than for the person on the stage to do their best and succeed at it.
Yes.
How many fucking situations can you think of that do that? That doesn't happen often.
It doesn't, and I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Go, do it.
Okay, because, again, same background, same general competition. He also did track in high school and university. I did track and field in high school. So we, again, coming from karate or coming from generally martial arts, you have, some buddy code with your teammates or some specific people on other teams, but when you're in the ring, you're facing someone, they're your enemy, you're not supposed to be buddy, and you're wanting them to fail. You're hoping show up, they don't make the weigh-ins, or they have an injury or something like that. You're just hoping that your opponent doesn't work. You go into a powerlifting or a weight-specific competition, and you just walk in, your weight class is unofficially your team, basically. I would in my experience, basically you're who's in my weight category, who's going da-da-da-da. You basically collect, you become a circle of support of these are my team. You gotta cheer and you're hoping that they get their PRs and hoping you get the depth and all that.
You're all warming up at the same time, you're all competing
that's a whole other thing
time.
Too. Yeah.
And there is definitely an element of competitiveness.
Exactly.
Because you have the option to up weights and to try to outdo people because you want to win the day, of course.
Of course.
But there's that overtone.
Yeah.
But I guess you can even call it just an undertone of competition. The overtone is everybody wants you to do your best, but the undertone is you kind of want to win.
Yeah.
So it's been the reverse in my previous experience.
Yeah.
So the overtone is fuck you.
Yeah.
But also hope you don't get hurt.
Yeah. Because in martial arts, you don't want anyone to get a serious injury, but it's also you hoping that they kind of either fall out or they don't make it into the round robin or something like that. So you're just they're my opponent, but don't die, but also I don't want to fight you because I want to be better. But then when you go into powerlifting, it's I want to beat you and get a better total than you, but also let's share some snacks. There's a
lot of that.
It's a lot of share snacks, share our salts.
Handing out candies.
Yeah. You don't have your wrist straps, or you don't have your knee sleeves. Here you go. It's very. I don't want you to get the same total as me, but also do your best. We're all here for personal goals.
Now, to kind of tie this section up, the whole point of this conversation was going from this to that.
Yes.
Point A to point B. Yes. Competing in karate to competing in a list of what?
I have
40 minutes into a conversation
40 minutes. Yes, because we were the train was running.
Just keep going.
Okay, so since we're wrapping up, I like to talk about the main reasons why the pipeline exists in itself. So I wrote down that the main one tends to be injury. So a lot of people either have martial arts specifically martial arts into weight training specifically. This is the pipeline. A lot of people that are coming from martial arts, they have a high stress to your joints, and a lot of martial arts do a lot of point or a lot of joint specific training so they can get the upper hand for either wrist breaks or ground pound or just general attacks. You get a lot of injuries in your soft squishy bits, and then you said, okay, I'm tired, my body's decaying, I don't like it. Go into weight training because it still gives you that exertion, but it doesn't hurt your body as much.
As long as you do it right.
Exactly. Always do your stretches.
And recovery.
Is needed. Stretches and recovery.
Sleep, you bitches.
Stay hydrated, girlies. All right, and the age. This doesn't happen a lot because I'm in a traditional martial art for karate and kobujitsu, so you can age with the martial art, but a lot of people go from high intensity kumite, which is fighting, sparring, they go into more of a kata traditional standpoint where they look at the techniques and they look at the skill points instead of doing combat. And I know a lot of people, when they're doing high kumite their entire life, they're like elite kumite, they tend to burn out and they don't want to do it, so they're getting older, they're getting slower, they're getting heavier. So they go into weight training.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I want to touch on that for a moment. Okay. When you're competing in a fighting sport like that, you are only as important as you perform that year.
Yes.
Right?
Unfortunately.
You are only relevant insofar that you beat the person that is on the roster for that specific competition cycle.
Exactly. Your division for that season.
Yep. Right. If you don't compete next year, you winning last year has almost no impact.
And I touched on that previously when I said that a lot of the worlds this year, I've seen a lot of the elite 21 or elite juniors or whatever, they're not competing, rather they're in their support staff or their coaches.
Sure.
So you do touch that, yeah.
Well, if we juxtapose that with what we're talking about in our strength sports, if I deadlift 1,000 pounds today and nobody else deadlifts 1,000 pounds for 100 years,
that's it. That's you.
My name's on the roster forever.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a different kind of relationship with performance that way.
Exactly.
And I know I'm just using 1,000 as just a number.
Catch him this season.
Oh fuck.
Catch him this season.
Let's try 8. Let's try 8 first. But I guess
go for broke, boys.
There's different levels of it too. You got your own personal records, things you've never done and managed to surpass, and you climb that way. Then you have provincial or regional records.
Exactly.
And you can keep your name in the game for considerably longer, depending on how well you perform and who's all in the athlete pool. So I find that is an extremely rewarding thing because it really incentivizes extremely good performances as opposed to just completely wipes the slate clean every year. If nobody does better than what this person did last year, then they still are the best. And then of course you go one layer lower, is like who competed the best this year, and then a layer lower than that, who does the best in this movement this year. But anyway, the point is that there are layers of recognition all the way down the line when it comes to powerlifting. When there's only one instantaneous source of recognition or appreciation when it comes to a martial art.
It's a short blip. It's a very meaningful blip.
You won today.
Yeah.
You didn't show up tomorrow.
And it's important to you and your community that you've medaled in that time, but then come next season, you're not on the board, which probably hurts. I mean, I've never been a ranking elite kumite competitor, so I can't say much. I've only done regional and locational tournaments for martial arts. But when I'm currently trying to get the strength to fight someone's regional record that was set 4 or 5 years ago, and fantastic, love if you ever see her. I'm not name dropping because that's rude, but she is a fantastic person, and I would love for her to sign. No, she's big fan. I'm hoping if I ever get to that level and I do beat her numbers, she's signing my belt.
Why are you not name dropping? She's a legend. She is a legend. Say the damn name.
Is it Philibert? Philibert. Danielle Philibert. She is a fantastic person, and she's
the greatest.
She's amazing. And
fuck you, but you're the greatest.
She's so great, and she's so nice, and she has a great dog. Anyway.
You know,
I don't want to name drop.
She's the kind of person that is a cuddly bazooka.
God. I know. She's a good person. Yeah. She's strong.
Let's drop some videos.
I hate her because she's just we're gonna do some sunshine person. Amazing. And oh my god, if she enters this household, I'm going to cry. Like, oh my god. Anyway, sorry. Fangirling. I'm also a big fan. Anyway. So another one is goal change. We touched on that a lot this video. Yep. Goal changes.
Yep. The why behind what we do.
Right. Exactly. I don't know if we should recap what we said because we said a lot of reasons why goal changes.
There's a lot of why changes because you went from doing something because of you wanted to be, I guess, near me, which is complimenting as hell.
Yeah.
I don't know how to bear that.
Gotta follow him.
I'll do that. But then your why changed because you didn't want to feel like shit. And then you went back into it because you wanted to complete what you started. And now, why are you in it now?
I do it because of a personal thing now. Because now that I know that I'm a good person at it. Like I'm not an elite competitor, but I'm a good sensei. I'm a good teacher, and I'm knowledgeable in what I do. So I want to continue knowing things. I'm a very technical person in this style instead of being a competitor. So I want to continue with the next generations because I know I felt like shit and no one supported me at the time. So I want to be a safe person for the next generation to know that I'm on their side. If a parent comes up and says this one kid is trash, I want to have a foot to be like, now your kid, now your problem. I'm sorry. If you want to be on the board for this grading material, you join. See how hard it is for you to do it.
I wasn't with you at the beginning, but I think I get it now.
Yeah, because I want to be knowledgeable and I want to rank so I have titles and I can train the next generation in feeling something, knowing that there is a point and a worth to doing this. Instead of having, I'm going to do this and be a competitor, I'm bad at competing, I'm going to leave. No, there's so much more to martial arts than competing and being a glorified person.
What is it more? What is the more?
I like the style. I like the internal camaraderie in the community that's within it because within the class or within the community, you're supported. I'm sure the sport aspect, completely different, but when you learn how to be disciplined, when you have a rigorous schedule, when you're learning and you're feeding your knowledge to it, regardless if it's karate or jiu-jitsu or judo or aikido or whatever, there's more to it and there's so much lore. And I think that's the nerd coming out of me, that there's, everything is connected. Everything is connected to the tree.
Nice.
The tree. Anyway, check that other episode out.
I'm going to try to summarize that.
Yeah.
Your why now is...
I want to be...
you're trying to make it so whoever starts in this journey doesn't have a negative experience similar to yours.
Yes.
I hate to boil it down to the sum of the
I got shot in the face, so I'm hoping everyone else is wearing their gear.
She makes flak jackets because of her gun wound.
Exactly.
That's a metaphor.
I bring my first aid kit because I have scars. So, identity.
Freud would have a field day.
Freud?
Hmm?
Okay.
Yep,
I was going to say Darwin.
Darwin.
Yeah. Survival of the fittest.
You have to die a lot of times for that one. Darwin was generational.
I feel like I've died a few times.
Have you?
I feel like I've died. I'm on like my 12th life at this point. Anyway.
Catch us next week on our next episode.
Reincarnation.
Freud's Feast.
Yeah. Woo! Okay. Next one is identity crisis, which we also touched about. You touched about that during COVID.
Of course. The who you are.
Yes.
The I am karate. To, I don't do karate anymore. I'm not karate.
Exactly.
What is Cohen? Cohen is student.
Yeah.
And then you finish school and Cohen is no longer student.
Exactly.
What is Cohen?
Mm-hmm.
And then you start trying to develop your own sense of identity after that. And that's really where lifting comes in. I'm not Cohen the lifter. I'm not Cohen the karate guy. I'm a lot of things. Now,
umbrella term.
You can definitely use that as a chunk into what makes me, but it doesn't even quite summarize it there either. Mm-mm. You can say Cohen is fuck you, watch this.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, so that could be whatever it is. Like if I break both legs and both arms, sure, I'm not going to be able to do powerlifting anymore, but the root of who I am is fuck you, watch this.
Yeah.
I'll start doing CSGO or something.
Okay, why not? Minecraft.
I guess that's really why the pipeline discussion that we're having is so significant, because it it highlighted the most important realization I've had in my life, which is all of the things that I use to identify myself are garnishes upon the stump that makes a koan.
Yes.
So that stump or that core wood is fuck you, watch this in a bunch of different ways.
I like that.
What's your stump? Or core wood?
Core wood. I would like to say probably stem from what you said a few years ago.
That's a good pun. Stemming.
Core. Unfortunately, I do land in the finish what you started mentality of I want to stick it through until I can't, but I want to finish anything that I'm capable of. Because when I left karate, I wanted to come back, but I didn't want to come into the atmosphere that I left because it sucked. Like I'm already being told I'm fat and ugly in school. I'm already being left out of parties through my social life. I don't need this random mom telling my dad that I suck at this sport and I don't deserve to be ranked. Like that. Like, I don't need that extra stuff. That I don't need that.
It doesn't fit into the list of the day.
It's not the lore I need in my life. So I left one negativity because I got enough going on. I don't need that. So coming back, I want to get my black belt. I want to become a sensei. I want to rank. I want to finish what I originally started when I was younger. So I did, and now I'm here because I want to continue.
So you can reasonably say that our two Ys went from, mine went from developing a thing that I can anchor myself onto, which ended up being a problem later because if that's the only thing you identify yourself with, then what are you after?
Exactly.
And your starting Y was to follow, and then it changed into avoid trauma, and then it turned into finishing what you started, and then it turned into you want people to have an experience in which you wish you had at the beginning.
Yes.
That's a pretty big one.
I like to put this out there. I'm not saying that at the time they didn't try to support me. It's just it was kind of a rock and a hard place, and I said I'm going to be out of it.
Are you trying to justify your own feelings about something?
No. I'm saying like I don't want the audience. Hello everyone. I don't want the audience to assume that I was not supported at the time. I don't want them to think that I was not supported and I wasn't confronted with the situation. I want to say that I, at the time, did not have self-esteem. So I said, you know what, maybe she's right. I'm going to hop out. I hate this situation. I have enough of those situations. I'm going to leave. They were probably, I don't know, I was 12, 13-ish. I don't know what actually happened with that whole adult talk. I just know, like, this adult hates me. I don't want to be here. Bye. So I'm sure there was a discussion of figuring it out, but whatever.
The tree that's anchored at the shore of an ocean doesn't give a shit that it's anchored down to the soil if there's a fucking tsunami hitting it.
Yeah, I know. Oh,
sure, it's got the soil it's anchored onto, but there's still a fucking tsunami hitting it.
Yeah, it's like, there's no roots to stand on.
There's my philosophy.
Yeah, I love it. Anyway, so I'm going to throw in something specific as I wrote into my notes. I would like to say probably when you're in a high-intensity sport, I've seen many mothers. I'm a girl's girl, so I'm going to point at mothers, but I'm sure fathers have dealt with the same thing. Girl. We stand with the girlies. I've seen a lot of professional martial artists or MMA fighters who are mothers now, and I would like to say that is a stable point of transition into you are high intensity. You have to take a few months off to heal, and then you go back into your high intensity, or you switch sports. I know karate, I've seen a lot of competitors that fall pregnant and they just drop off and become coaches or support staff.
It's a natural part of every situation.
It is. Unfortunate.
Even dads do that.
Exactly. I'm saying dads go through this a lot as well, but a lot of women have to physically change. Fathers, I'm so glad I live in the day and age that fathers are very included in lifespans, and a lot of they're active people in their family. But women have to physically change. They have to physically stop their training. They have to physically push someone or receive someone out.
It's an amazing thing.
It's an amazing thing. So they personally have a life change and they have to stop their training. A lot of them stick with it. They take their break. They come back to martial arts and then they keep rolling until
there's no physiological shift.
Exactly. But I know a lot of women who went from high intensity martial arts or MMA and they said, you know what, that's a lot of harsh on my body. My body cannot bounce back as fast as I wanted to. Let's take a gander into just basic mobility, hypertrophy.
Getting swole.
Getting swole. Or weight training, and then that flows into powerlifting, Olympic lifting, blah blah blah. I know a lot of powerlifters in our community that have gone through the high intensity sports into powerlifting because they became mothers, and scheduling, diet needs, training is just way too intense.
Definitely a big thing to bring up, because if you're a wrestler,
yes, that's a big thing.
You kind of need somebody else,
or judo or whatever.
You definitely need somebody else on the mat with you for your training to be good.
It is
for wrestling.
Yes.
Because if you're just throwing a sand dummy around,
yes,
that does have implications that can carry over to wrestling.
Yeah.
But you kind of rely on somebody else lining up their schedule with you so that you can actually get it done. And that also can extrapolate into rugby, hockey, tennis,
soccer,
that kind of stuff, right?
Tennis.
You rely on other people to line up their lives so that you can actually get the quality practice in. But when it comes to weightlifting, there's enough fucking gyms around with iron plates. You can pick up rocks and it would have a decent amount of carryover to strength training.
And there's a lot of gyms that are very pro-kid. If you can handle your kid and keep an eye on your kid, then no one else really cares. So there's a lot of CrossFit, a lot of Olympic weightlifting, and a lot of powerlifting gyms that are completely kid-friendly. They can just bring your kid in, and then they have a corner. You leave them in the corner to find, they're safe, whatever. So it's kind of more forgiving.
It's an extremely approachable thing for somebody who has a lifestyle in which they cannot rely on other people's schedules.
Exactly.
Because if you think of rugby and complexity of scheduling, it gets really intense because you got
they have to travel as well.
You have up to 14 different people that have to be there because you have to have your team and their team. That's a lot of different schedules got to line up. So then you go a little less complicated, and you got martial arts or arm wrestling or whatever you want. You need at least one other person. So okay, well, it's still twice the amount of schedules to organize, and it's not always going to be there. Somebody's going to be sick and that kind of shit. Then you have boom. You get right to lifting, Olympic lifting. You get
your own personal garage, your own little basement, whatever.
Strongman, even, really.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So,
point being is, as we go through different phases of life, shit gets more complicated.
It does.
And it becomes more difficult for you to just commit to a single time in a week. But if you have something that you can reasonably shift around an hour or two through your week for 2 to 3 times a week, it becomes way easier for you to realize your potential and your ability to compete at a decent level, provincially or regionally or whatever the hell you wanted to do. That being said, you have anything to bring up on this?
No.
That's a hell of a pipeline, and this is the longest episode that we've done yet, with the most passion and most tears almost, and I cried, didn't you?
Yeah.
Didn't you see it?
Blood, sweat, and tears.
Who bled?
Me.
I'm sweating and crying. Do you? Oh. And with that, I'm going.
Go.
I'm going.
I'm Corinne.
Go the fuck to sleep.
Bye.